Okay. So basically, I prompted give an example of a story or Jira ticket that has. Hey, Aaron, how you doing?
That's what we end up building in the React project is we're building a web page that's executing code. So we're doing the stuff that's on the back end of the web page, but it's still, just part of the web page.
No, it's actually the front end. Sorry,
Really?
not trying to be an actually guy, but yeah, no, TypeScript is front end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
So the back end is what's connected directly to the database. We don't talk to the database. We talk to Java, which talks to the database. Java is the back
okay.
end.
Actually,
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Well, that's good
no.
info. But yeah, that's just the first one. I did ask for some simpler ones. What I would like to do is if we could read a couple of these and pick one that would be good for establishing um, a problem solving step by step where we read the story. It could be really simple and we can expand it later, but like obviously we got to read the story. And I think the simplest thing to do is teach people to highlight keywords and pair them with constructs. And there's like a little table here I made here for loops, variables, switch statements,
Okay.
where certain keywords would suggest that. And then get into writing the pseudocode for it, since people are struggling with that. But yeah, just basically focusing on the reading of the story and comprehending what it's going to call for, and just you know the pseudocode for the getting into actual implementing the TypeScript.
Well, a good option if we're looking for problems. We did pull one off of exorcism today.
True.
If
Do you see anything that you would do that's not here yet that would be good for people who are really starting to get organized with trying to read these things?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me go back to what I posted before. Um, I think there were 5 steps in the one that I posted, which
Okay.
are not necessary. Okay. So we got read the problem carefully, identify key information, translate the problem into mathematical terms, which I don't really know. It says this will help you understand the problem better and come up with a solution. That one seems like it can be dropped, but I mean, it's pretty much what you're doing anyway, right? You're taking it. You're saying, let's let's look at the find. Let's see if we can find the numbers and the what we do with the numbers involved and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, then write the function, which you have saying do it in pseudocode. So the function should take the input. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean that's pretty much it. And then after that, it's just test it, and then make sure you document. Like so, you know it. The
yeah.
best way to make sure that you know what you're doing is to say what you're doing at every step. So document is very important.
And does that
So
math
number one,
translation work for every? Do you feel like it works for any story?
I mean,
Or
it's kind of general. It's like the keywords thing. It's just a more specific version of it. But I would even say read the story and maybe analyze the keywords. So like number two would maybe have like analyze as the big fancy bolded word. So like you're getting closer.
I can't spell analyze for whatever
It's
reason today.
ANYLIZE. I'm pretty sure.
You can code, but you can't spell. Come on.
I can dude, I can spell any usually,
Am I
but
wrong? Oh,
I
ANYA.
I can't spell today for whatever reason. My that part of my brain is just fried. I need to sleep more or something. I'm looking at words. Spelling can doesn't look right. I'm just having one of those days.
I know the feeling.
Um,
Identify keywords.
yeah.
Highlight keywords. Yeah, okay. Identify keywords. Pair them with constructs. What do you mean by that?
Constructs would be like these, like loops, variables, any of the things
Okay.
that.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think we should use that word because it's the most accurate
Exactly.
word to describe those when talking to GPT as well.
Okay.
Oh, and when researching.
So there's a step. I would say there's a step between. Well, okay. I see. Documentation. You're saying write pseudocode is the documentation. In
Yeah.
a way, it can be right. So it's either write pseudocode or I mean or both actually. But actually putting we haven't done it. a lot, or like at all almost in any of the example, like the time that we've been learning. But people comment in their code a lot, like, and generally every function is going to have a comment saying what this function does, what goes into it, what comes out of it, and anything that might look a little confusing, you'll put a comment in there to say, hey, this is what this part is doing. You know, it's to make it easier to read it.
Because pseudocode is
I
basically
mean, it doesn't have to be an or, but yeah, I just said or because I don't do pseudocode unless it specifically says.
Same here, but they need to do it because that's the part where they're actually thinking about the design of it versus, what code to run.
So
It doesn't have to be specific to TypeScript. You can just say like construct the solution in your chosen language, whatever
Right.
your chosen program.
Yeah, that's why I avoided saying. I just said code instead of that.
Yeah.
Read the story, and maybe this
Okay.
line should have something like take notes or something. Note the important facts. Because sometimes I'll take notes on something that I'm reading, and it's not necessarily the keywords that I'm highlighting, but like notes that would suggest the greater solution that I'm working towards. The string.
put construct a solution because it's not going to be the solution. I'm particular about language,
That makes
but
sense.
yeah, it is the sequence of steps you're taking in your process. That's one of the most misused words of the current century is algorithm.
True.
That's too far away.
So when they're writing a solution, they should be addressing specific things from reading the story, right? Like that's what I think this
Yeah.
should hint
So
at.
it'd be like address how you are going to.
The thing is, if they
I-
wanted to restrict Chat GPT, they should restrict Google as well. Like, there's
Yeah.
literally no difference.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what I've been saying. Yeah. It's the same thing. It's going to the same sources. It's just faster and it's better for beginners because they don't know where to look. They don't know how to evaluate the information they're seeing. So they need the training wheels of an AI to sort that for them so that they can just focus on learning and solving the problems.
Write the code, test the code, and then comment everything.
Right, pseudocode. I'm wondering if these are actually the same step.
Like the pseudocode
Actually.
and constructing a solution, yes, but commenting, I feel like it's important for that to be separate.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, because especially if you're having trouble understanding, like the specific steps of what to do, right? Then commenting is going to help because not only are you putting that there as a reminder for yourself later, but you're also actively thinking about what you're doing at that time. So much to the point where you're like, here is a summary of what this line does. Here's a summary of what this line does. And that reinforces that knowledge in your own head.
Yeah. Like what I see here is the address each story requirement could be on line 3, but then you would move the comment your code to like write and comment your code on the construct a solution.
I think I like that. Document, write pseudocode to address each story requirement, construct a solution, write code, and comment each part of your solution. Only thing about this is, how is it that we decide how we go about problem with one type of solution versus another? Is there any tip?
Well, that would be decided when you start documenting, right? And
Yeah.
step 3. So in step 3 is when you decide what your solution is. So you have all of the information, you've analyzed it, you've pulled out the keywords, you know what you have to use or you know what you should use based on that, and you put it to paper in step 3.
Everybody's
Yeah.
going to have a different take.
So
If
step 3 is
you're
developing the
good,
solution, and step 4 is constructing the solution. Those are 2 different steps. See what I mean? So like you're constructing the solution means you're actually creating it. I don't consider pseudocode creating anything. It's like writing down a list of things to do is basically what pseudocode is. You're not constructing your solution in pseudocode. You're developing a plan, really.
It's not the whole thing. Like maybe write in document or something. But
Create and document a solution. Maybe, I don't know.
then we still have solution.
Yeah.
This
well,
is
I mean, to be
this
fair,
works.
we could remove solution. We could just say develop, right? Read and analyze, keywords, develop, construct, and then test instead of a solution, the solution. Because it's pretty obvious at this point, right? What we're doing, we're developing our thoughts, we're developing the problem, we're developing the solution to the problem, and then the next step, we're constructing.
I don't know how to.
Bother me.
I'm trying to.
No.
Yeah, the bold.
Why is number 5 bolded?
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to select it.
You just had it selected, I swear.
There we go.
All right, but that's not what I was saying. Can you capitalize the Y and the C in number 5? Thanks.
I see.
If not, I'm leaving right now.
No, you make sense. What are you writing, a book? Jeez, Brian.
I'm sorry. I like to. I guess specifically you don't want to say write pseudocode if that's not what because pseudocode is optional really. You can use a flowchart instead of pseudocode, right?
Yeah.
Or you can.
I think that we should say.
Pseudocode.
I think we should tell them to write pseudocode because they seem to be struggling with the concept of it, and that's also another thing. It hints at why they can't come up with like a solution for things because this is where you actually would come up with a solution and think about it.
So are we gonna put it to practice now, or is there more to it?
Oh yeah, we can put this. I think this is done. This is a good first draft, at least. I think this is short, simple, to the point. Anyone can pick it up and use it.
Good.
All right.
We can give it a fancy name. We call it
How
the
does
5-step
that look
method.
as process flow?
You and Kelvin and Aaron, if you're still here, I think this is the part where you would benefit a lot from joining in.
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, you want to be our guinea pig?
Actually, yeah. I think if you can, you can read his page, right? So, TJ, if you want to just write down what Aaron says are the important things to note,
But
Script.
don't get anything wrong. Get it
exactly.
right.
No pressure, Aaron, but lots of pressure.
Yeah, the idea is you take it a line at a time. You read each line, say, is there any important information in here? If so, let me write it down.
And if you make a mistake, some puppy dies somewhere.
That is true. I've actually heard that. That's true.
Via drowning.
Oh, hey. All right. TJ did it solid for you and already did the first one, which came from the very first sentence.
Okay, so alright, so generate a character.
Okay.
And I think I quotated generating because I think that's a keyword.
That's a good idea.
Well, I guess I could say that this could happen as an array.
Yeah, it really depends on how you're going to use this in a greater scheme of things.
Mm-hmm.
Because, my immediate thought was, if we're going to, put this as one thing, it would be like you would do this in a function, because you have the function of creating a character. And then you would be able to call that for character creation. But also, the part about using an array for all the values is really if you just really need to reference, that character, right?
Like if it's being built somewhere else, but you just need those values generated, which is technically what this is asking.
Yeah. So,
So
like in the concept of a game,
both are
it would be
correct.
like,
Is
you know,
what I was getting at.
referencing, maybe at a later time that character, whatever use case you need for it.
I would suggest using an array, even though an object is better, because arrays are new for people still. Object is like we haven't actually used it. So people are going to be like, my eyes are falling out. What's an object? I would go with an array.
Yeah. So
Okay.
no point in doing two things at once. So you can just
Yeah.
remove the as an object part because
All right. Do an array. Each index indicating the values for each of the abilities.
Yeah.
with you might want to just put a bit of additional information there saying that it's not just an array, but it's as an array of integers.
Okay, as an array of integers.
That way you're at least you know, or I guess numbers. I don't know. It depends. But yeah, numbers works.
Okay.
I forgot there's no integers in TypeScript.
Yeah.
Yeah, that numbers is better because then I can be like, oh, that's the data type.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now we have the dice, right?
Okay.
So how would you represent dice in this? What would you do to roll a die? Think
I
about
feel
it
like
one at a time first.
well, each deck would have to be its own like standalone variable, probably like dice one.
Would
You
you be
know.
able to list them in an array like you just did with the other ones?
Yeah, I guess you could do that too. Dice.
Maybe
Yeah.
you
And
can
put equal.
italicize it, no?
Yeah. So like loop equals do 6 times. Gotcha.
Maybe you can italicize loop so and not bold it so you can tell the distinction.
Yeah, maybe.
Italicize.
No. You guys are missing a point. You're misunderstanding what I'm saying. You see the line that says do 6 times? That's where this is coming from, right?
Yes.
So what I'm saying is that would be your keyword, either that whole sentence and then put equals, so that you show I took that and translated it to mean I'm going to do a loop, and then that's your description for the loop thing.
So you're saying take out roll and put loop instead?
No,
Yeah,
I'm saying
that's literally the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
So it says
no, you're listen to what I'm saying. That this came no, listen. The line that you're doing this for is the do 6 times, right?
we're 100% like tracking that, and we are
Right.
saying all he had to do was change the word roll to do, and then he takes that directly and puts it down there, which is exactly what you were. We see where it is. I promise you, we see it.
No,
Take the
I know
roll
you.
out of there because it confuses it. So like do a loop 6 times. It's the same thing as roll
Or
6 times.
let's keep it very specific. Do 6
Yeah.
times,
There
right?
you go.
That's what we want to have. Do 6 times and then equals loop.
Okay. Do
That
6
way,
times.
where no one gets confused.
Yes.
There we go.
It's a good fix,
Perfect.
Yeah, because I just want like anyone to be able to be like, where did he get the idea to do a loop? Oh, so that means when it says do 6 times, he's saying that is where that comes from. That literal phrase that they use, because that's in the story.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Right. So then the final little bit there, right, is the hit point, which is a little bit of math.
Man, I can't even think right now.
Don't undo that. Leave it there. I mean,
Trying to
that way
do
we
it.
can at least see where you like, because you were going somewhere. You had I don't know why you're giving up.
No, I'm not. I'm just trying to get back to it.
A little bit, as here is the problem that we're trying to solve.
Okay,
All right, it is in the chat now.
got it.
Oh no, I think the picture button just takes a picture of whatever you have in there.
You should just be able to,
I
let's see.
copied it and then
Yeah,
put it in.
copy and then looks good. All right, I'll see you guys in about an hour if you're still going, but you know, don't wait on me.
Okay.
Keep up the good work, everyone.
All right. Thanks, Brian.
Of course.
So we're going through a scenario where we're creating a Dungeons and Dragons character, and we're picking out. So we're going through the 5-step problem analysis, where first you want to read and analyze, so the story, and then you're going to note important facts, right? So you're going to you're going to read the entire story in its entirety, and then you are going to try to hone in on the keywords, which is next. So you're going to go through and, for example, like you're going to read, and it's going to say each player starts generating a character. So right away, the first thing you might want to think about doing is generating a character somehow. And then as you're going through and reading, you're going to try to note more important facts throughout the scenario that you can use. Scenario and
Hey Aaron, go up top.
yeah, sure.
No, number 1. Show her how
Sorry.
you by like the notes and stuff you took by reading and analyzing it. You know.
Okay, so all right, so I'll just demonstrate what I did before. So for a game of Dungeons and Dragons, each player starts by generating a character they can play with. This character has, among other things, 6 abilities: strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. These 6 abilities have scores that are determined randomly. You do this by rolling 4 6-sided dice and record the sum of the largest 3 dice. You do this 6 times, once for each ability. And then your character's initial hit points are going to be 10 plus your character's constitution modifier. You find your character's constitution modifier by subtracting 10 from your character's constitution, divide by 2, and then you round down.
Basically, in step 1, you're basically listing all of the requirements of the story. So everything that it says that you have to do should be listed in your step 1 notes. When you get to step 2, that's when you specifically are targeting keywords. And those are important because they each suggest different things, like words like case, option, choice, condition, anything that you see like that appears in the story. I would be thinking switch statements would be probably what I'm going to need. And you do that for every keyword that you're able to just eyeball just from reading it. But you may read the story, more than once. So the first time, just a relaxed read through, see if anything stands out. But then your second pass might be a more detailed examination of all the words that they use. And you just get more and more detailed based on what they're writing. Here are my keywords. That means I'm going to be looking at an array for the dice, a number variable for the sum. When they say hit points, I'm thinking a function, a math function. And you basically are putting together a list of things that are going to probably be used in your solution in the next step.
Yeah, one of the ways I put it, Yasel, was you're mostly looking for verbs because verbs are actions, right? Um, so when you're searching for keywords, it would be stuff that's relevant. And to explain the abilities, if you look at the problem, because there's a link to it in here, the abilities are equal to like variables because you're storing information based off of every single one of those.
So how do I get each of these dice to generate a number then? So it's like, yeah, it's saying that like whatever the value is, is gonna equal a random number, but how do I? So I guess part of the pseudocode would be to do that, right? Just
You can at the pseudocode step, you don't have to know it exactly. You just kind of describe what's going to happen in each step. So if you want to put this exact detail for how you get to that result here, you can. But if you want to just right now just put this loop would solve for it, in a general sense, I think that's okay because you're going to really rely on what's available in TypeScript. So you may end up coming back and changing your pseudocode, or it may turn out to be a little bit different than what you're thinking is going to happen. But really, just kind of describe
If you're gonna
each
have
line. Go ahead.
um. Sorry, I'll be right back. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, by the way, guys, this is just the first test of trying this 5-step method. We just made it today, so we might not get through this all tonight, which is fine. We can come back tomorrow or another day because Brian was kind of directing this approach. So we could wait till he comes back. But I think this is good progress so far. I think this is looking really positive. But you really, generally you start writing what's clearest to you first. Sometimes I'll write the endpoint of a function before I start to write what it does inside of the function in the middle. Because I may know, oh, I know I want a string, or I know I want the sum of two numbers, and I know how that's going to come. But I may not have decided exactly how I'm going to do the math inside the function, or how I might be manipulating the string yet. So you don't need to know everything to start writing pseudocodes, because pseudocodes is basically notes. You just start with the clearest thing, and then you move towards the harder or fuzzier things.
I understand. Well, actually, it took me a little bit just to learn that, but like, it was much more complex than I thought it was going to be because I was like, okay, well, we're learning functions now. We're learning how to put the function together. But then it just took off from there. It was like a rocket. I was like, oh man, I don't even know how to do this. Like, I know how to do a function. Like, I know how to write it finally. But then, like, to do the code inside of it too, like, you know, that's when it really got hard.
Oh, you
I
got the chat
see
before.
the problem analysis, those steps.
Yeah, the do you see the Google Doc, the Google Study Group Google Docs link?
Okay, wait. Yeah.
Okay. So
Wait. I just think like doing this, just it's breaking down the problem and highlighting, like you said, like if you highlight and then knowing what they mean. So now I have something to go off in studying this.
Let me see. So we have been going for 2 hours and 45 minutes here. What we can do is like cut this in half, and we can either come back tomorrow or another day. I'm pretty happy with what I'm seeing. I think this method is showing kind of go step by step. Seems like it's easy to follow. Um, but we'll know for sure once we get to the end.
Did Aaron? Did you end up? So I dropped out for a little bit and I came back. I seen Kelvin kind of explaining that sort. Uh,
Well, so Iso came in, so I started teaching her about what we're doing. And then I got the furthest I got was sorting the dice values in an array from highest to lowest.
yeah, he pretty much got the pseudocode, you
okay.
know. So
Yeah.
like the coding hasn't actually taken place, but that's something like at least the planning stages, which is really, what people are, needing to get used to.
Yeah.
That, is becoming more um I guess direct because I think, even, myself, like if I know something, I'm just going straight to what I know, you
Yeah.
know. And we did spend a lot of time going through each individual step to prove the method. and the workflow.
Yeah.
But, a lot of this stuff would be a lot more intuitive once you know kind of what you're working with.
Yeah,
And yeah,
repetition of the
uh,
methods, you get faster at it for sure.
like
To make things
troubleshooting.
clear, by the way, I was
Mm.
just thinking about this while I was out. I don't want you, Aaron, or Yusel, thinking that we have some like higher knowledge. We have Google, right? We have,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and if we like, for instance, like how to find the lowest value in an array, you could just type that into Google and it'd be like, you use the min function. We've used it a couple of times now, or
Mhm.
whatever functions that we're familiar with, so we know to go to that instead of having to
Yeah.
look it up every time, right?
Well,
But
it's like,
I promise you, we were like that at some point.
that's why I really benefit from this, is because it's like, okay, well, I'm learning to think, okay? We're researching on top of this, right? And we're doing a problem that's fun. I can relate to it, and I'm feeling like I'm getting way more out of this than just 45 minutes of a shadowing and then
That's
being a
excellent to
team.
hear.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it probably
So
doesn't even feel like it, but we've been at this for 3 hours now.
no, I know, and this is the stuff that I like. Yeah, I had expected to pick this back up like tomorrow.
When's later?
I think tomorrow was the plan.
I'll record it as well in case you can't make it. Then you'll be able to see the second half. But this is a really good test for this new problem-solving tool that we're doing here. So as long as it continues to prove fruitful, we can just share this with the rest of the cohort.
I missed the part. Where did you guys come up with the 5-step thing?
So TJ, he did his own research, and he found I think it started with 3. I decided that was actually a pretty good basis for how to go through these problems, which was the issue that a lot of people were having.
Yeah, the cool thing is we actually caught the part where we just made that method from scratch. So if you want to go through this 3-hour recording or whatever, you can go back to the beginning. I'll be editing certain parts out.
I was here for most of when he was writing it. I was just wondering where you guys got the. I was here when he was writing it, so yeah, I was just quiet, but I was watching.
Yeah, the 5 steps was created by discussing it. And okay, so you came in right around the time that Aaron started with, which I think
I've pretty much been here the whole time watching. So
yeah, me, TJ, Kelvin, and Aaron were in here for about 30 minutes before that, just discussing and trying to figure out what we would decide were the good steps.
Okay, gotcha. So what time is good for tomorrow, guys? Afternoon.
It'll have to be afternoon for me.
Yeah,
Me too.
I have some errands to run in the morning, and my kid gets out of school early. So, well, to be fair, you're almost done. Like you're one step away from finishing the pseudocode, and then I think anyone here is able to convert pseudocode into regular code.
That's true.
Yeah, I think even Kelvin kind of did his solution to it, I believe.
Yeah, the sorting thing, that was all Kelvin. That whole the last 4 lines are all Kelvin. I mean, I'm assuming Kelvin and Aaron, of course.
Yeah, but for tomorrow, I guess 12 o'clock is fine, or 1 or 2. I want to do before 3 for sure, though.
Yeah, I would say if you want to schedule it for 12, go ahead. And if I'm a little late, then I'm a little late. But either way, I know y'all can do it without me. I'm not. I'm only a mere piece of the puzzle that is our success.
I got you.
Well, going forward,
I'll be there to document it.